Hello there guys, it's Stephen here and I have some terrible news. Ilkay Gundogan is out for 6 to 8 months with a ruptured cruciate ligament. That is an absolutely massive blow for Manchester City. It's a massive blow for Gundogan. He was finally getting back to his peak fitness. His sharpness was returning. He was showing his creativity. He was showing his goal scoring ability and in general really endearing himself to the City faithful. And obviously Guardiola will be devastated. He was a player that was brought in to help us evolve into this Guardiola-esque technical team and he's taken a turn for the worse, unfortunately. It's bad news because he's obviously just got over a huge dislocated knee injury. He's had some serious injuries over the past few years. He's had a lot of bad luck. And this has put question marks over our ability to cope for the rest of the season in midfield. So what we're to do today is discuss how we're going to replace him. Can we replace him? And if so, what do we do? Now, obviously, the first thought would be maybe we can sign someone in January. The transfer window opens pretty soon, and we do have plenty of money there. And I know Cheeky has come out and said we won't be signing one, but this maybe isn't a kind of example where you have to just kind of forget protocol because it's an emergency situation potentially to have the heart of your midfield ripped out. But I just can't see it happening, if I'm being totally honest. Julian Weigel's a player who's been linked a lot, and he is very much a Guardiola kind of player, very technical, very good on the ball. Obviously, he's excelled over in the Bundesliga, but I just don't see Dortmund letting him go during January. I think if he's one that we are after, that'll be one that maybe we approach in the summer. And other than that, I just can't see the options there potentially. Some people said, can we return Sami Nasri? I don't think we can, unfortunately. But I think the answer is going to be right in front of us potentially, if there is an answer at all. That leads me on to someone like maybe ALEIX GARCIA. Now, he's obviously a player very highly thought of Manchester City, a very creative player, a very technical player, excellent on the ball, typically Spanish, you would say. He's obviously had a few games, looked very comfortable in general, clearly not out of place, and he obviously is a first-team squad regular these days. He could be the kind of player that could sit in that pivot role, link defence to attack. He has plenty of experience of that in general for the EDS. He's looked comfortable against United. Obviously, unfortunately, we were knocked out, but he's had a few cameos. He was great against Swansea in the Carling Cup early in the season. So maybe he's looking at this and thinking, maybe there's a little bit of opportunity and adversity here. No one wants Gundogan to be out. That's just unfortunate. But he could see this maybe as a chance to impress Guardiola. Obviously, there's also YAYA Toure. Now, I think it's all fair to say at the start of the season, as the way it was developing, none of us thought we'd see YAYA, the big man, back in a City shirt again. But he's back, and he looks sleek, he looks lean, he looks sharp, he looks like he's going to score some goals again. He looks like he's on it mentally, and this is obviously a massive boon for Manchester City. It's fair to say that Gundogan, YAYA Toure, they're not massively dissimilar players, they're not that similar, but they can both sit in the various roles. They can both sit in the heart of that midfield, they can both dictate play. And YAYA, interestingly, against Watford, was sat very deep. He was the one dropping between the centre-backs. He was the pivot, so to speak. That was why, allegedly, we signed Gundogan to do that job. But we found that Fernandinho's form was so strong that Gundogan was having to play further forward. Now, YAYA's proven against Watford that he can be a very viable option sitting in that role. He's arguably better than anyone that's spraying passes left and right. This is what his main asset is these days. And as a bench player or a squad player, maybe a guy can start every other game. YAYA could definitely do a job there and maybe ease the blow a little bit of losing Gundogan. Fernando, could he be an option to start more games? He's obviously a very divisive player, Fernando. I think he gets a bit of a hard stick at times. I think he's very good at what he is, be it a destroyer. He's a different kind of player to Gundogan, obviously. Gundogan odds his flair and ability and a real kind of direct incision when he goes forward. He was starting to get that sharpness back. But Fernando, as a number in midfield, as another man there, he obviously has his own skill set and he does it well. He could be the kind of player that would sit a little bit deeper and we could hopefully get a little bit more out of Silva or De Bruyne in the number 8 role there, potentially. And obviously the missing man, Fabian Delph, he is one that we'd all like to see playing football again. I think he's, once again, he's not the same player, but he does have energy, he does have Premiership experience, he does have a willingness to assert himself after a very unfortunate spell out on the sidelines. I think Delph could see this once again, in the way Garcia does, as an opportunity to impress. Pep, I'm sure, would like Delph. I'm sure he would like his attitude at very least. Whether he can offer the same things as Gundogan is a different story altogether, and my gut instinct, and probably most of yours, would be no, that he can't. But Delph will see this as a potential challenge to really kind of mark his authority on the team now, because heaven knows he does actually need that. He's been at City for too long now and he's sat on the bench too much. We could also see someone like De Bruyne or Silva maybe drop a little bit deeper. They've both been playing as free agents this season, usually alongside Gundogan. But there's an argument to suggest that before Gundogan got his fitness and back into the team, we were actually playing some of our best football of the season. So you look back at the start of the season, we were pretty good with De Bruyne and Silva ahead of Fernandinho. That football was nice there. It was working very well. And there's an argument to suggest that maybe Gundogan's arrival complicated things a little bit. Now, obviously, we'd all rather have Gundogan in the squad. But sometimes the answer can reveal itself a little bit when you take something else out of the equation. Don't get me wrong, I want Gundogan there, but it might make the team selection a little bit easier because we have to deal with what we've got. When you've got a hand that's been drawn to you, you've got no choice but to play it. Obviously, this does then raise questions marks about fitness and so on later in the campaign. You want your full squad, but we could maybe see De Bruyne and Silva rediscover that early season form. And the signs against Watford were encouraging. Maybe we could try something a little bit different. John Stones, a player obviously blessed with technical ability, maybe he could be pushed forward. I know these days the lines, especially in a Guardiola team, between a defender and a midfield are blurring, and John Stones could epitomise that. I do think he's going to be a centre-back, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. We've already seen Angelino and Kolarov step into midfield. Zabaleta played excellent against Celtic. Maybe he will see this as a chance to get games in an unfamiliar role. Always with these things, it's always bad news when Gundogan gets injured or any player gets injured, but you have to look at the positives. Maybe this is a chance for someone else to step forward, and usually out of adversity something positive can happen. Something can happen that you don't expect. It could be the emergence of a youngster like ALEIX GARCIA. It could be that Zabaleta finds a new role for himself. It could be that Delph gets the revival that he deserves. But basically, it isn't the end of the world. I'm gutted for Gundogan. We've all got to be a little bit positive here. Guys, I want to know, what is your solution for this midfield problem we've got now? How devastated you are. I'm pretty devastated. I'm sure we're all feeling the same. But anyway, let me know in the comments. Do please give a thumbs up if you've got any ideas for this video. If you think we've got the answer staring in front of us, let me know in the comments. And subscribe if you haven't already. And Gundogan, get better soon, mate.